Well, guys, we need to go back and talk about the summer of blood in 2020. Now, of course, the left actually called this a summer of love. I'm looking at you, Jenny Durkin in Seattle. And we know, looking at a whole bunch of video, guys, on the old channel that was pretty much this channel, Black and White News, which is now the Matrix and Roadshow, we pretty much lost a whole entire channel of monetization because of covering stuff over there on that channel. However, getting back on point here, it was a disaster over there in Seattle. Seattle was just full of anarchy. The criminals actually were running everything. The police, they didn't do nothing. Jenny Durkin, she enabled all of this. And there's quite a few businesses in Seattle that were actually destroyed. In that CHAZ chop zone, I believe they actually changed the name a couple of times. It was chaos. Chaos. And people that actually own businesses had their lives destroyed. Now, I didn't know that there was actually a lawsuit, or maybe I just don't recall it right now at the moment. But however, Seattle is going to have to pay up. And you can see here, Seattle forced to pay $3.6 million in 2020 CHAZ damages to business owners. Now, to me, guys, that honestly seems a bit low. If you look at how terrible the CHAZ zone actually looked, 3.6 million, that seems a bit low. And actually about 600,000 of that is just lawyer fees right there. But let's go ahead and read some of this, guys. The city of Seattle has agreed to pay $3,650,000 in damages to business owners who brought suit after the deadly 2020 Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, CHAZ, damaged their businesses, property, and violated their constitutional rights. The group had originally been seeking $2.9 million. The city has until March 3rd to pay the sum as part of a settlement revealed last week. So the settlement happened last week, and they got to come up with this money fast. According to court filings regarding the settlement, $600,000 will go towards attorney fees for the more than a dozen plaintiffs. The settlement came just weeks after a federal judge imposed sanctions against the city for deleting thousands of text messages between Seattle officials, including former mayor Jenny Durkin, former police chief Carmen Bess, and fire chief Harold Scroggins during the armed occupation by Antifa and BLM rioters of 6 square blocks of the Capitol Hill neighborhood. And by the way, they actually took over a police station, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, there was so much crime in that CHAZ chop zone, and Seattle pretty much did nothing. The local government allowed all of this to happen. The CHAZ, also known as the Capitol Hill Occupy Protest, or CHOP, was established by activists on June 8, 2020, after Seattle police were ordered by police leadership to abandon the department's East Precinct during the riots that rocked the Emerald City in the wake of the death of George Floyd. Floyd died in police custody in Minneapolis, Minnesota on May 25, 2020. Video of the death emerged, setting off months of riots in the midst of a pandemic. Yeah. And guys, so I was right about them taking over the police station. The police who are supposed to be protecting the people abandoned that precinct right there. And the criminals were able to take over. Zone occupiers refused to allow police in the area. My goodness, look at this. Rapes, robberies, and murders spiked 250% in the 6-block area during the occupation. The zone lasted 3 weeks before it was finally broken up by police on July 1st, 2020, after 2 fatal shootings and rioters vandalized then Mayor Durkin's home. Only then, when it got to Jenny Durkin, only then was action taken. But it took 2 people getting killed in the CHAZ/CHOP zone before anything was done. And this is just a clip here, so you guys can remember what Jenny Durkin actually said here And of course, you know, she was actually trying to blame a lot of stuff on Trump, even though her city was a disaster. Let's play this.
I want to just get a clear sense of this, though, Mayor. Why do you believe the president chose to talk about domination in the face of what's happening, not just in your city, but in many instances when it comes to what the remedy is for the unrest in the country right now? What do you think this is about for him?
I think it shows a complete lack of understanding of why people are in the street. They're in the street fighting a system of domination, and he doesn't understand that. And his response is always one that's bellicose and militaristic, but he doesn't honor the military in that way either, as you've seen from the line of generals that have disputed him. So I think he says dominate because he is totally does not understand what is happening in America, and he is desperately trying to start the old fights and the old divisions that put him in power in the first place.
How long do you think Seattle in those few blocks looks like this?
I don't know. We could have the summer of love.
Yeah, summer of love, which was a summer of blood. Crime run amok. Business owners had their lives destroyed. But Jenny Durkan said, hey, summer of love. Now, 3 years later, they have to pay up. These Democrats, and honestly, guys, it was the whole George Floyd thing that set off the defund the police from leftist Democrats. You know, that they were actually trying to run cover during the midterms. Hey, no, we weren't defund the police. You actually had people out there from the Democrat Party saying to defund the police. Cori Bush, anyone? Cori Bush, St. Louis. I mean, the whole defund the police thing was a real thing. San Francisco defunded the police. Seattle did. Minneapolis did. And guess what? Crime went up. Minneapolis was actually, because that was ground zero for George Floyd, they actually had to go on a recruiting spree because the crime got out of control. The crime got out of control. And this same people, same party that want to take away your Second Amendment rights. So only the criminals had the weapons. I mean, this is ridiculous, man. These leftists, these Democrats, George Floyd really made them pro-criminal. George Floyd, when he died, was engaged in criminal activity. But now this man has pictures of him painted like he was Jesus or something like that. That is ridiculous, man. That is completely ridiculous. But now Seattle, it is time to pay up. And I believe in the midterms, didn't Oregon almost flip to a Republican governor or something like that? I could be wrong about that. I believe it was close. I do. See, when this whole thing happened, man, boy, the Democrats really exposed themselves as not one to protect you. But when it came to Jenny Durkan's home, only then, because she didn't care about the people she's supposed to be representing in Seattle. She didn't care about them. Only when her property was threatened did she actually decide to do something. And 2 people actually lost their lives. A bunch of crime in that CHAZ/CHOP zone. That's just my thoughts on this. What do you guys think of this? Black and White Network fans, let us know what you think about all this in the comments. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you next time.